So hi, my name is Brisa Bracamonte, and this is my educational journey. So the first kind of slide that I have, it's comic relief, just for the beginning of it, because a little girl says, "I love school. Don't worry about it, Gracie. It's an affliction that can happen to anyone." So usually this happens a lot with younger children or just anyone that we see. That when we start talking about school like in negatively, and we're like, "Oh, we really like school." And there's always that one Debbie Downer that is like, well, why do you like it? There's no reason for you to like it. School's dumb. Basically, that's the mentality that people have. So why do we take our education for granted? I feel like in the U.S. we really take our education for granted just because it's free, and so in other countries I feel like since you do have to pay for it, or it's a little bit more competitive or just strict, then they kind of value school more and they kind of don't really take it for granted. And for in the US, well, we really don't pay attention to education. We reach a certain age where we kind of hate it, but I feel like we kind of take our education for granted because it is that structure, and not a lot of us have, I don't want to say the mental capacity, but don't really want to, or are lazy, or just have a hard time understanding, or don't have that adult figure, or just that drive within ourselves to really keep going forward within the system. So here's a quote from Leonardo da Vinci. It says, "Learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else." So basically, what that means to me is that everything in the everything that we have, like all this information, all this stuff, just everything, we kind of, it connects to everything in a sense, like the birds and the music and we always try to make connections. So that's one big thing for me, is that basically there's kind of a reason for everything, and it kind of just all connects. So who paved the road along the way for me in my educational journey? It was my mom and my dad. So when I was younger, we were not living on base, but we were living kind of far away from our base. So usually the schools that I went to were mostly because of the districts that we lived in. So within district lines, I would have to go to those schools, and most of the time they were kind of not good choices, but those are the those are choices that we had at the time. So yeah, those are had to pay the road. So I had moved around a lot when I was younger, and I feel like for me that kind of made it hard, like stability wise in school. Like I don't have that one friend that everyone else has. We're like, oh yeah, I've known that person since kinder. Like that is not the case for me at all. But these are the four biggest, like, they're not the four biggest schools I went to, but they're four schools that had the biggest impact in my life, I feel like. So in elementary would be Washington, which I started in the second grade and I left in the third grade. And then McKinley, fourth through sixth grade. And then my middle school, which was Kennedy. And then the high school that I went to, which was Southwest. Now with this, it's not weird, but with high school, I really hated the fact that I had to go to Southwest when I was in middle school. Like, when I was in elementary, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Central, Spartanburg away. But I was not able to do that because of district lines. So I ended up going to Southwest, and then I thought I was gonna hate it because Southwest has this reputation of having those white snobby kids. So I thought, oh, that place is not for me at all. So I ended up really liking it because of the programs that they had, so I decided to stay because I did have the choice to just go to Central, which was one of the options for me, and I wanted to leave my sophomore year and go into my senior and graduate my senior year from Central, just because it was tradition. My aunt went there, my dad went there, so it's something that I wanted to do, but I ended up staying at Southwest because of better educational programs that they have there. So you might be wondering, what the heck is this picture? Why is there these two ladies with their hearts and then this just really awkward, like, kind of head shadow with, like, birds? So for this, it's one of my biggest memories that I had throughout my 12 years of education and just living in general. So my sophomore or freshman year, I decided to move in with my dad, which was a really big decision because when I was little, I lived with my dad, whatever, it was fine, but then I moved in with my mom. And it's a little bit easier for girls, at least, to live with their mom just because they're both females. That's what I just get, because everyone says, oh, like, the mom always gets the kids. But in this case, I decided to move. I was old enough to be like, no, I don't want to stay here anymore. So that's what these two ladies kind of represent to me. I'm the one who kind of in the blue, the gold, and then the other lady who is kind of, her heart supply is kind of going out, and because as you see, she has like scissors or like a knife and it's like bleeding out. So she kind of represents my mom because at the time she was not the best for me, and she had, her herself was not mentally stable. So when I left, I had no real stability. So that's what it kind of means to me. And you might be thinking, oh, what does this have to do with your educational journey? Well, for me, it was because leaving and my mental health not being as stable, I kind of took my education for granted. This is when my grades started dropping and I started giving up on school because I was like, well, I can't, I don't want to do this. Like, it's not that it was dumb, it's just that I took it for granted, not because I wanted to, but because me mentally, it was just too much to handle. And during these years, I had all honors and AP classes, so it was kind of harder for me because, one, when you're not mentally stable, you have all this stuff flying at you, and you're kind of like, whoa, like, slow down a little bit, and that was not the case for me. And I had this one teacher who kind of made it hard for me, so I just kind of wanted to give up and quit in general. So with the birds and the head shadow figure, what that represented and with this picture was one of my favorite books that I ever read, which is one of my souvenirs. And it kind of connects to it because it reminds me of Catcher in the Rye, and I read that my sophomore year of high school with one of my favorite teachers ever. What such a sweet lady. I love her with all my heart, and she has all my respect, just because she introduced me to reading and the power that language actually gives you. And with this book, we read it my sophomore year, and not a lot of people liked it because they thought the main character, Holden Caulfield, was a whiny teenager because he goes to this private school and he breaks all these rules and he's going on like these tangents and these rants about how everyone's fake and they're phonies, and everyone just thinks he's a really whiny kid. But you can tell that he shows like these signs of mental illnesses or just trying to keep that childlike presence because he feels as if his childhood was never really there because he was always at these private schools and he was never really close to his parents. So he tries to keep that childlikeness in his little sister that he basically runs away to go and see and just make feel safe. And that was a really big part of my life because I related to the character because he was kind of whiny, and I feel like that's why a lot of people didn't really like it. So that's one of my big things. My next big life event in my school years, was when I attended the IVC Allied Health Academy my junior year, going into senior year. So basically, my junior year, I was in a sports medicine class at the Sox Academy at Southwest, the Southwest Health Academy for Health Sciences. I think that's what it stands for. But so basically, I applied for this program and we took a Psychology 204 class. And I was the only kid from Southwest who went into the program, and there was a lot of kids from like Imperial, Raleigh, Calexico. There was one kid from Holtville. it was kind of weird for me because I didn't really know anyone, and there was this group of girls that just stuck with me, and they were kind of those mean girls that you see in high school. So that was a really awkward experience for me because I was really never a part of that group in high school. So it was just really weird to me. But at the end of the course, the Psych 204 class, we ended up going to an allied health academy. It was 2 weeks, and the last 2 weeks of summer, there's really no one on campus, and we stayed in the health and science building, and we were in that big lecture hall. No, it's not really big, but the lecture hall that's in there, and we stayed in there, and I got to meet the kind of nursing director at IVC. I always forget his name, but this is me and him when we kind of graduated. So this is a big moment in my life because it was the first time that I ever took a college class, and it was really different from high school because the teacher wouldn't really teach. She would just give us a book to read, and that was it. And she kind of expected us to know things, and she didn't really talk in the class. So when she did, she talked about like eating and stuff. So it was kind of weird, kind of different for me. And then the Allied Health Academy program, it was really cool because we got to see I forgot what they're called. They're like dummies basically for the nursing students, and we got to go in there and interact with them and interact with third semester nursing students and see the coordinator and just interact with them and really see like if we wanted to get into the field. And a lot of the students in there were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do nursing, I'm gonna be a surgeon. And I was kind of like, oh, I want to do sports therapy because I was in sports medicine, so I automatically thought I was going to be a sports therapist or something of that. I don't really know what was going through my head. I don't even play sports. But this was a big moment for me because I finally realized that nursing was something for me, and that's something that I really enjoy doing because I really always wanted to be in the medical field because I wanted to always help people. But I kind of always bounced around with my ideas. And it kind of goes into play with my third memory and my souvenir. So at Southwest, I was a part of an organization. It was called HOSA. This is the old logo, and if anyone from HOSA saw me using this logo, they'd be so mad because it's no longer, HOSA no longer is an acronym for something, but it just is HOSA. It's a word. It's HOSA, Future Health Professionals. So my senior year, we went to Sacramento for state, and so me and my team participated in an event, and it was called it was a public health event. That's what it was. And so basically what our event was for that year was to pick any, what is it word? Oh, civilian readiness. We were supposed to pick a topic, something that we felt was important, and basically make like an action plan for it. So a lot of people, we went to the event, and they did earthquake preparedness, stop the bleed, that's school shootings. That's basically it. That's basically what everyone did. And there was about, I think like 20 or 30 teams. And so we did ours on something we thought was super relevant, not only in our community, but just all around the world. And it kind of taught me this kind of self-discipline because our teacher was not always like, oh, you need to do this, or you need to like get it going. We had to basically do everything for ourselves, and it was just a self-driven project. So we did, the Surgeon General's call to action on the opioid crisis, and we decided to do it because at the time there was a lot of students in Yuma, just an hour away, who began to overdose and start selling, and there was just this huge crowd of students who were just overdosing on opioids. It was fentanyl, actually, that they found trace of fentanyl in students. I'm not really sure exactly what, but they found fentanyl in student systems, so that was a really big thing for us. So we decided, we went to state, and we ended up making it to first round, and I thought we were not going to make it. I was super scared, I was super nervous, and it's something I would do, I know, but for my two um, teammates. I guess you could say it was kind of different because they're not very outgoing, and it was just really fun to be like that team leader and be like, okay guys, what we have to do. I was like a little mom basically. And so in the top left corner, it's our third place medal. We got called up to stage because what they do at state, they get these huge big jumbotrons and they just put their name and they put the school. And you're just supposed to run up there and you don't know if you got first, second, fifth, you don't know. You just get the top 5 get called up, and we go. We're like, please, 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 like I'll be happy with third, like I'll be fine. Just give me something. And we ended up winning third place. We got a bronze medal, which was really cool because also this was our first time in our cohort, I guess you can say, first ever doing a public health event. So now it's kind of the standard from our teacher now that one of the at least one team in her hosted group has to do a public health event. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of cool because we kind of made history for our school, and that's something that's never really happened. So it also, the public health event and my souvenir and my memory go along with this slide because this is my most favorite teacher in high school. Her name is Mrs. Valadez, and she was my community health worker teacher. This is where I found my passion and my love for public health, and just even more so helping the community instead of individuals in the health field, but just as a whole instead, and trying to target people like a certain group and just helping out. Like this was one conference that we went to at IVC, was the mental health summit, and we went last year and it was super cool, it was super fun. And this is one of my souvenirs, my community health certificate that gave me, it was processed by IVROP, so it gives me the opportunity now to work as a community health worker not only in my community but anywhere else in the California region, which is kind of cool for me because I really like helping people, and it'd be super cool if I were able to actually do this as a career because it's something that I personally enjoyed, even though it was just helping people and being a link to certain basically companies and different help resources to just the student population at Southwest. Like we did tobacco education, we did heart education, we did mental health awareness. A big thing was mental health awareness, which is really cool for me because throughout my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I didn't really have that stability. And even though started going to therapy my junior year, it was cool because I got to see a change happen on campus, and I got to be able to be a part of that change. So my fourth and final memory of my educational years is applying to colleges. So you see, these are just a few of the colleges that I got accepted to. There's more, I just don't really remember what I applied to last year. I applied to a lot of private schools, like out of state. I don't know why. I think I applied to like 12 schools. I didn't pay anything for my applications because either I was on Dean's List or I was just low income and they just gave me a waiver. So this was really cool because the first ever application that I got was from NAU, which was one of my top schools at the time. But then I kind of didn't like it because I found out that it snows there and it's really cold, so I decided not for me, unless it's like the Yuma campus. And for me, this was a really big choice because you hear a lot of kids in the valley like, oh, I'm not going to apply, like I'm not even going to try, I'm going to go to IVC anyways. I'm not trying to like bash on IVC, but it's not something that a lot of students want to go to, and it's kind of like plan F. But in a sense for me, I decided to go after I didn't, I missed a deadline for Grand Canyon, and I found out that it was like, I still want to go there, but it's kind of super expensive just because it's a private Christian university. And apparently a lot of teachers just bash on it, like my senior econ, and she told me something else, I just don't remember. Oh, my econ and gov teacher, she kind of just bashed on me for wanting to go there, and it kind of crushed my dreams a little bit, but it's perfectly fine. I'm really glad that even though I got all these acceptances and I got to go to IBC, because I got to be in Puente and I got to meet a lot of nice people, and I got to meet like sort of a family, not only within Puente but within with my other classes, because I made that effort to talk to students, just because when I was in high school I was always that super loud person who didn't really care, and it was different now because I felt like every teacher you ever have is like, oh, your college professors are not going to want to deal with this. Everything is going to be so different when it's really not that different at all. My teachers are super caring and I love them so much, and I'm really glad that I chose IVC. So, education is what you make it. Take advantage of opportunities. So, basically, a lot of the time we do take advantage of our education, and I did myself. My sophomore, all the beginning of my high school career, and even in middle school, I kind of took it for granted, and I kind of went downhill, and I got bad grades. I didn't care about school, and it kind of sucked, because I feel like if I did try and I didn't take it for granted, I would be in a much different place than I am right now. But that's a what if kind of thing. But I feel like as I grew up, I kind of took advantage of it, because it's something that gives you so much power and such a big voice, just to be able to voice your opinions and learn about different things and just have all this information that a lot of other people don't really get the chance to have. And I feel like that's one big thing not a lot of people see. So this is me in kindergarten, I think, I'm pretty sure, and then this is my high school graduation. So that's one of the big things that I figured out throughout going through this project, my educational journey, is that we do take our education for granted, and it's something that we need to not pressure, but we need to teach our youth, because education might not always be there, and well, it might not be there in free as a sense. Like, you need to realize that there's other people who don't get the opportunities that we do. And even though like some of our schools in the valley kind of are not the best, and probably some students do have such living situations, their personal lives, or just the regions that they live in are not all that great, we need to be able to take advantage and take action and go to school and be able to learn and do all these great things, just so that we are able to fix those things for later generations, so that they are able to take advantage instead of take it for granted. So this picture, I know it's kind of a weird picture, but for me, it was kind of like a new beginning, a rebirth, and I'm gonna decide to take this on with me into the future and try my best in college and get the grades that I can and get into nursing school and be able to help people out there no matter the circumstance, whether it's in education, whether it's if they need vaccinations, if they need all these certain things, just because I like helping people, and I feel like education is a really big thing. And if I wasn't in the medical field, I feel like as if I would be in the in the teaching profession, just because it's such a good thing and teachers have such a big impact on students. And yeah, that concludes my presentation.